I'm Britt Lind, co-director with Sandra Bell of People for Reason in Science and Medicine. And I'd like to say a few words about Big Pharma to add to what Bill Maher, Gary Null, and others talk about in their videos. I'd like to answer the question, why do people believe in a trillion-dollar industry that makes money making them sick and killing them? Hard to believe, but true. We see people being harmed by pharmaceutical drugs all the time. And almost every year, we watch celebrities being chemoed and radiated to death like millions of other people have been. But that doesn't stop even more people, including celebrities, from doing exactly the same thing. Commercials on TV say, take this drug and that drug, even though it can cause strokes, seizures, blindness, heart attack, death, and still people take them. We know that Big Pharma is a part of the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry, an industry that makes money putting toxins in our air, food, and water. But every year, millions of people say to the richest industrial complex in the world, now that you've made us sick with your toxins, maybe even killed our loved ones, we're going to give you even more money. And they lace up their sneakers, put on their pink ribbons, and go run, walk, and work up a sweat for millionaires and billionaires who couldn't care less about them. Why do they do this? I will tell you. All our lives we've been told that doctors know best. And doctors are good at dealing with burns, trauma, broken bones, torn muscles, performing surgery. And drugs can alleviate terrible pains and help during surgery. But we've been intimidated into never asking questions, into handing over our lives to anybody in a white lab coat. Ads and commercials tell us that Big Pharma really cares. They have spokespeople who look like our parents or grandparents who say, we're working very hard looking for cures for you. They enlist celebrities to make us believe in them and to get us to contribute to all the disease organizations and research hospitals, and make us forget that there are doctors called quacks by the FDA and the AMA because they don't use toxic therapies, who are healing disease, including cancer, and many thousands of former patients can attest to that fact. 10 years, they say. Give us 10 more years and more money, and we'll come up with cures. Decade after decade after decade, they want more money and 10 more years. This is my absolute favorite because it is so blatant and definite. This is New York Magazine, February 7th, the year 2000. And on the cover it says, we are going to see a global conquering of cancer in 5 to 10 years, according to a researcher at Sloan Kettering. And inside are articles that talk about all the wonderful breakthroughs that are going to make that happen. That was in the year 2000. Have they announced their cure yet? No. Do they want 10 more years and more money? You betcha. So, what is it that these people do in their laboratories that makes them just come up with more profitable poison pills and no cures? I will answer that. I will pretend to think like a big pharma researcher in reverse. I have a little mouse, and his name is Squeaky, and Squeaky is very sick, and I don't know what's wrong with him, and I want to find out so I can help Squeaky. What to do? Thinking like a big pharma researcher. I know. I go out in the street, I grab a man, I drag him up to my laboratory, I paralyze him so he can feel everything but not move, and I start slicing and dicing. I cut off his limbs, I burn him, I freeze him, I stick electrodes in his brain. Everything I can think of doing, I do to this man. Eventually he dies of all the trauma, and I still don't know what's wrong with Squeaky. How can that be? I go back in the street, get more people, start cutting them up, inject them full of chemicals, until finally a friend comes by and says, "What are you doing? Are you insane? You can't find out what's wrong with Squeaky by cutting up all these people. You have to study Squeaky. What's he been eating? What's in his bedding? Are there toxins there? What about his cage that he's always chewing on? Maybe there's something poisonous. You need to study Squeaky." And I think, well, that makes sense. Mice aren't people. People aren't mice. And what do they got to do with Squeaky's problem anyway? But then I think, forget Squeaky. Maybe there's a way to make money from this. I can take really cute pictures of Squeaky, send them out, say I'm looking for a cure, and people who love mice will send me money. Yeah. Back to being myself. Extrapolation between species is scientifically impossible. You can't find out what's wrong with people by cutting up animals and vice versa. It doesn't work. It's not science. It's stupid. Yes, animal experimentation is scientific fraud. But oh, what a wonderful trillion-dollar industry for big pharma and the animal breeding facilities and the disease organizations and all the universities and hospitals who get money for cutting up animals and calling it research. And it just goes on and on and on because they have convinced the public it does work. It is science. It will bring about cures. Someday. Maybe. 1,000 years from now. Who cares? And all they have to do is prey on the public's compassion and fear of disease and death. Look at the incomes of these petrochemical pharmaceutical execs. Do you really expect them to tell you that drugs can't heal? That drugs can only suppress symptoms? Do you expect them to tell you to clean up the environment of their toxins? To eat a plant-based diet and do other things to keep you healthy? And put themselves out of business? Probably not. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to have a science degree to follow the money. And I encourage you to follow the money. Go to Gary Null's site. He knows the facts about pharmaceutical drugs. On our site, read about the fraud and brutality of animal experimentation and the facts about chemotherapy and vaccines, two of their longest running, most deadly, most fervently believed in moneymakers. In Vanity Fair, read the excellent article, Bad Medicine, that talks about the FDA and their cozy relationship with Big Pharma, and the growing industry that tests drugs on babies and little children in third world countries. I guarantee you will find death, greed, lies, political corruption, cruelty, and Big Pharma's complete indifference to human suffering. Trust them and their celebrity shills at your own risk. In conclusion, the next time you lace up your sneakers, go to the gym, run around the block. The millionaires and billionaires that used to run, walk, bicycle for, go to glamorous fundraisers for, won't miss your money one little bit. At first. But if millions of people catch on to the pink ribbon racket, maybe we stand a chance of putting them out of business. Choose to control your own life. Choose to think, not pink, and be a part of the solution. Yes, death is scary. Yes, disease is scary. But Big Pharma is your worst nightmare.